At the sound of a slap, a child collapsed to the ground, hurt. Shocked, the boy cried as he looked up, seeing his stepmother glaring at him with disdain. Kneeling, he apologized and called her Hylam, but the woman asked if he really thought an apology was enough. Enraged, she demanded to know why he was such a worthless child and berated him for breaking one of her treasured vases. Though he wept and insisted it was an accident, she ignored him. Grabbing his clothes, she ordered him to be silent, refusing to hear another word. Screaming, the boy was dragged to the mansion gate. His cries went unanswered until she finally shoved him outside. Coldly, the woman told him she would not repeat herself and commanded him to leave her house at once. Powerless, the boy watched his own abandonment, left with nothing but the clothes he wore. Meanwhile, a woman snapped her book shut, irritated by the story. She thought she could no longer keep reading, admitting that even after many rereads, this scene still disturbed her. Her frustration was directed toward Luna Mazamel, the story's villain. Once a common-born girl admired for her gentle nature, Luna's beauty forced her into becoming a feudal lord's second wife. Yet, days before the wedding, someone from another world awoke inside her body. Aware of her new self, she fled her village, acted like a saint in a new place, and eventually seduced and married Viscount Mazamel, a wealthy divorce. For a while, she lived in luxury. But not long after, for unknown reasons, Viscount Mazamel fell ill, suffering until his death. At his coffin, Luna knelt as though in mourning, though beneath her veil she was smiling. Now as Viscountess Mazamel, she immediately expelled her late husband's son, Helm, right after striking him. The reader felt deep pity for Helm, believing he deserved far better treatment and wondering how anyone could mistreat a child so cruelly. To her, villains like Luna deserved death. Just then, her oven beeped, reminding her of the melons she was baking. She thought they looked perfectly baked and risen, needing only a double coat of chocolate. As she focused on them, heavy knocking echoed in the background. Someone demanded she open the door. She had hoped for a peaceful day, but outside stood her drunken father, bottle in hand, shouting. Like Helm in the book, she too was a victim of domestic abuse. Though she had moved several times, her father always appeared drunk wherever she went. She wondered how he had found this address, realizing he was here to demand money again. Refusing to engage, she turned back to her sweets. But as she reached to open the oven, sharp cracking sounds filled the kitchen, followed by a massive explosion. Fire spread instantly. She thought her life might be even more tragic than the story she had just read. Her oven had exploded in an instant. Reaching out, she tried to speak, but no sound came. Pain tore through her body as flames consumed her, smoke filling her lungs as she collapsed. Her life had been a constant escape, always running from something, and now even her end was tragic and hollow. A sudden flash of light brought her awake beneath a grand chandelier. Startled, she wondered if this was heaven, but quickly dismissed the thought, recalling how much she had cursed in life. Someone like her would not end up there. Suddenly, a maid addressed her as Viscountess Mazamel, leaving her stunned. The maid mentioned a small incident had occurred. Still baffled by the title, she left the bed and hurried to a mirror, where she saw golden hair, amethyst eyes, and an elegant figure, the image of Luna Mazamel, the villain she had read about countless times. She wondered if she had truly awakened inside a novel. She recalled her past thoughts about wishing Helm were treated better by the Viscountess, though she had never wanted to become Luna herself. The maid anxiously asked if she was all right. Trying to maintain composure and avoid seeming insane, the protagonist asked what had happened. Hesitant, the maid explained that Hylam had fainted. Alarmed, she controlled her reaction, remembering she had to play the part of the Viscountess or risk suspicion. She confirmed if Hylam had truly fainted, and the maid replied, asking if she should handle him as before. Unsure what that meant, the girl admitted she couldn't recall and asked how it had been dealt with. The maid explained that the Viscountess usually locked the boy in his room until he recovered. Horrified, Luna shivered but decided she would see Hylam at once. Surprised at the change, the maid hesitated, but the protagonist demanded she lead the way. Apologizing, the maid complied, and together they walked toward the boy's chamber. With a grave expression, Luna thought only of young Hylam. At the door, she braced herself, expecting him to be just inside. Slowly opening the door, Luna was startled. Inside, she saw a boy lying on his bed. At the sound of her voice, Hylam curled up and woke. Rising, he turned toward her, his face marked with small bruises. Nervous and afraid, Hylam called her mother. Luna explained that she had heard he was unwell and asked if it was true. Trembling, the boy apologized for being a burden and insisted he was not sick, his eyes brimming with tears as he clutched the sheets tightly. In that instant, the protagonist realized the depth of the abuse he had suffered, something she had only ever read, now vivid before her eyes. In the book's future, after enduring such cruelty, Hylam would one day rise to become emperor, ultimately executing his revenge on the Viscountess Mazamel, leading her to death. He would overcome his past and claim vengeance. In her previous life, Luna had found satisfaction reading about Hylam's victory. But unlike him, she herself had never escaped her own father's abuse. Now, however, she saw a chance to help Hilm. Turning to the maid, Luna asked why the boy was so thin. Uneasy, the maid hesitated, then nervously admitted that he had not eaten in days. Smiling briefly, Luna recognized the excuse. With a serious expression, she ordered the maid to bring soup for Hylam. Shocked, the maid obeyed. Silent and trembling, the boy watched. As Luna stepped closer, Hilm shrank back, curling up in fear. Reaching him, she saw him squeeze his eyes shut, bracing himself. But when he peeked, he saw not anger, but his stepmother's sorrowful, worried face. Luna thought the boy was indeed ill, feeling his fever as she touched his arm. Extending her other hand, she wondered if she could move closer. Suddenly, Hylam began to cry, apologizing frantically in panic. Startled, Luna listened as he begged not to trouble her again. She reached out to comfort him, pulling him into a hug, and reassured him that she had come out of concern for his health, so there was no need to apologize. Yet Hylam continued blaming himself, saying he was sorry for falling sick and causing her trouble, before quickly backtracking, claiming he wasn't sick at all. Watching, Luna thought how terrible it was that a child would apologize even before greeting someone. With a somber expression, she told him that from this moment, he was forbidden to apologize. Confused, Hilm tried to speak, but she cut him off, saying he must never apologize for being ill. She then asked for a wet towel to cool his fever. Spotting one on a tray, she noticed the filthy room, mold on the ceiling, cobwebs, and dirt everywhere. It was no wonder the boy was sick. Even the water in the pitcher smelled rotten. When she asked if he had drunk it, he admitted he thought he had permission, apologizing again. Seeing this, Luna realized just how dire the situation was. The maid soon returned with soup, but Luna insisted she would feed Hilm herself, startling the maid. Inspecting the dish, she saw it was nearly as filthy as the room. Remembering the story, she realized this maid had always been complicit in Hilm's abuse while the Viscountess neglected him. Enraged, Luna hurled the plate against the wall, terrifying the maid. With a cold smile, she ordered her to bring back food fit for humans, not garbage. Eventually, the maid returned with edible soup, but Luna seized the chance to torment her, demanding water, towels, and medicine each time she entered. When the maid finally reported that there was no children's medicine in the mansion, Luna snapped that if the supplies were missing, it was the maid's duty to fetch them. With a chilling smile, she asked if the maid was daring to argue. Terrified, the woman apologized. Turning back, Luna picked up a spoon and asked Hilm to open his mouth. Despite his embarrassment and fear, he obeyed, finally eating after days of hunger. Luna stroked his hair, relieved to see him eat, though worry still lingered. She realized the boy had built emotional walls around himself, like thorny vines shielding him, seeing everyone in the mansion, including the Viscountess, as part of that pain. Those scars would remain with him, festering as he grew. Yet despite everything, he was still endearing. She knew there was only one man who could truly save him, his godfather, Duke Latius Huppet. She resolved to bring him into her confidence, so Hilm might finally be free of Luna's cruelty. That night, the maid returned with half of an adult pill, handing it to Luna. Pretending gratitude, Luna complained that the water was gone again, ordering the maid to fetch more. Annoyed, the maid wondered why Luna hadn't asked for everything at once. Luna thought it foolish that the woman couldn't even hide her irritation from her mistress, failing to notice the drastic change in her behavior. Still smiling, Luna saw it all as a game. The maid assumed she was comforting Hilm only to later crush his hope. When the maid came back, Luna asked for a wet towel. She then threw the bucket down, saying it was too wet and not cold enough, and ordered the maid to fix it. As the woman left, muttering, Luna called out, reminding her she should also clean up the broken plate. At her limit, the maid obeyed, scrubbing the floor. Watching, Luna coldly told her she could leave the mansion immediately. The maid froze at the statement. Dropping the cloth, she pleaded with her mistress to wait, asking what she meant and reminding her that she had always been the most loyal servant. The protagonist asked if she truly wouldn't like to leave, and the maid replied that of course not, insisting it wasn't fair to dismiss her this way. Removing one of her earrings, Luna admitted she was right, saying she had acted without thinking. Holding both earrings in her hands, the Viscountess told the maid to take them. Stunned, the woman at first didn't understand. Smiling with joy, she asked if Luna was really giving her favorite earrings, believing it to be a playful trick to surprise her with a gift. Before she could finish, Luna interrupted, explaining that she now had two options: be thrown out for stealing and live her life as a fugitive, or leave the mansion of her own will. The truth dawned on her, tears welling in her eyes. This was not a trick, it was retribution for how she had treated Hilm. Quickly, the maid withdrew, leaving Helam and Luna alone. Stroking the boy's head, Luna said the commotion must have frightened him, softly apologizing and speaking to him with affection. Seeing how filthy the room was, she said they should move to her chambers. Lifting the boy into her arms, she carried him through the halls, holding him close. Smiling, she thought that from this moment she would protect him, determined to secure his happiness. When they reached her room, she laid him down and told him to nap. Hilm nodded, and Luna quietly stepped out, considering his condition and realizing he didn't need to get up just to answer her. Another maid, Jane, the head maid of the mansion, saw her and asked why she was there. Approaching, Luna explained that her personal maid had just left and asked Jane to spread a rumor that the woman had stolen something. Jane hesitated, then agreed. Luna wanted her punished for tormenting her favorite character. She then instructed that Hilm be moved to the best room in the mansion and warned coldly that from now on, she would not tolerate any mistreatment toward him, ordering Jane to inform the entire staff. Bowing, Jane promised to handle it. Luna also asked for a carriage to be prepared. When Jane asked the destination, Luna replied that she was going to the Huppet estate to see Duke Latius Huppet. The following day, Luna left her mansion and approached the carriage. Seeing the amount of luggage, Jane asked why she was bringing so much. With a smile, Luna answered that they could pretend it was just bait for some wild animal. Jane watched the carriage leave, uneasy about whether the Viscountess would be all right, since she hadn't even been invited. In the novel, Duke Huppet was described with titles like the Devil's Cold-Blooded Contractor, and as a man who despised women so much he rejected the Empire Princess's proposal. His absence from social events had earned him a fearsome reputation. Yet despite this, the novel depicted him as strikingly handsome and admired. Looking out the window, Luna thought he had no reason to see her and braced herself for a difficult meeting. But because he would one day become Hilm's godfather, she was willing to endure it. On arrival, she stepped out of the carriage, awed by the grandeur of the mansion. A guard approached, and she confidently said she had come to meet Duke Huppet. When he asked if she had an appointment, she smiled and replied, "Yes, just tell Larses that Luna is here." Intrigued by her confidence, he said he would open the gate once he reported to the Duke and asked her to wait. As he walked away, he thought she looked like an angel incapable of lying. Meanwhile, Luna wondered if she would be forced to wait for days for an answer. Unfortunately for her, heavy rain begins to pour over the Huppet estate, yet she remains waiting patiently. Before long, a soldier approaches, calls her over, and shields her with an umbrella. He informs her that His Grace has requested her presence. Surprised at how easily she is granted access, Luna follows him inside. When announced, she is startled. Rather than being led to a reception room, she is taken directly to the Duke's private office. Her fear of walking into a lion's den lessens somewhat when the man greets her warmly. At last, Luna stands face to face with the man she had sought. To her surprise, she notices something unexpected. Contrary to his fearsome lion-like reputation, Duke Huppet appears more like an elegant cat. In that instant, she understands why the imperial princess adored him. He radiates like the sun itself. Observing that she is drenched from the rain, Huppet offers her his coat, but immediately shifts into sarcasm, remarking on her audacity. Since she entered without invitation and used his name so informally, he wonders if they are close, or perhaps even in a relationship. Luna recognizes the sarcasm and apologizes, explaining that she assumed the Duke would not agree to meet her otherwise. She then asks why he permitted her entry, knowing she had lied. Huppet admits that her conduct intrigued him, pointing out that while many women have chased after him, she is the first to attempt such a daring ruse. As he reaches toward her face, he acknowledges her beauty, yet quickly questions if she relied solely on that to persuade him. Smiling, he warns that unless she provides a highly convincing explanation, her lovely face could end up scarred. Despite the threat, the young woman thinks his smile is beautiful. Looking into his eyes, she realizes he truly is the same Duke Huppet from the book she once read, and she declares that she has a proposal for him. Luna asks if they may sit down, and the Duke promptly agrees. In the original tale, Lassias cared nothing for women and despised those who pursued him, which made her attempt dangerous if she failed to persuade him. Pouring tea into a cup, Huppet then asks what proposal she brings. Fortunately, the protagonist holds the right knowledge from the book, and she reveals the presence of a spy within the Huppet estate, an accusation that makes Lassias freeze for a moment. She recalls that he must be facing difficulties after the recent loss of a diamond mine, remarking that she heard it had been transferred to House Hillen. She further explains that the spy must be causing serious damage to House Huppet. Setting his cup down with a sharp clink, the Duke remarks that she is indeed well informed, then asks darkly if the spy was also the one who sold her this information. Luna replies that this is not important, instead offering to capture the rat herself and to help him reclaim the diamond mine business that Dawson Hillen had taken over. Huppet presses her, questioning how she intends to achieve all of that. In response, Luna opens her bag, spreads several papers across the table, and declares that she is handing him her information and future plans, urging him to read them and decide for himself. Taking one sheet, the Duke begins reading and is soon astonished. The documents contain precise details, drawn from Luna's knowledge of the story, including the spy's identity, his connections, the secret information he possessed, and the future steps they could take. The protagonist watches with a smile. She is certain she will win him over, since the documents also present a strategy to exploit House Hillen's weaknesses and reclaim the diamond mine. For her, it was not difficult. Her only happiness in her previous life had been rereading her favorite romance endlessly, imagining every path toward a happy ending. Her favorite character, Huppet, skeptical, questions the trustworthiness of the information and its source. Refusing to reveal it, Luna guarantees that the data is accurate and that no harm will come if he relies on it. Acknowledging her effort, Lassias asks what motivates her, presuming she must want something in return. Luna replies that of course she does. She intends to make a contract with the Duke in exchange for the information. Intrigued, he asks what kind of contract. The protagonist states plainly that she wants marriage, requesting Huppet to sign a marriage contract with her, stunning him with the proposal. Luna explains that what she seeks is a contractual marriage, lasting around 1 year. Reflecting on the book's plot, she remembers the tale where Hillen was abandoned by his stepmother, later discovered by Lassias, and eventually adopted as his son and heir. Even so, the protagonist cannot bring herself to abandon Hillen. At the same time, she cannot stray completely from the novel's storyline. Knowing that her identity as Viscountess Massamel could trigger Hillen's trauma, she clenches her dress tightly and resolves to help him find Lassias, adhering to the original plot without inflicting further damage. Luna then explains that for the Duke to reclaim the diamond mine, he requires House Massamel's approval, a goal she suggests would be easily achieved, since through their marriage, Lassias would gain access to her family name. As Huppet leafs through the documents, Luna lays out a straightforward plan. They marry, secure the mine, then divorce. The Duke remains silent for a moment. Luna assures him that in just 1 year she will depart from his life with nothing, promising that the marriage will remain purely nominal, with no emotional involvement, since neither of them holds romantic feelings for the other. It is nothing more than an arrangement. Huppet finally asks Luna if she truly feels no personal affection for him. She confidently answers no, even adding that they are both free to see other people. Her only demand is that he be her husband in name only. Laughing, Lassias admits that the deal seems beneficial and that he has nothing to lose. Still, he wonders why she would go to such lengths for a 1-year marriage contract, finally asking if that is truly all she wants from him. Luna's true intention is for Lassias to adopt Helm. Yet, if she revealed that now, it would only make him suspicious. So she promises instead to explain her other motives later, offering to prove her reliability by catching the spy first, and suggesting they discuss the contract's terms in detail afterward. With a smile, Huppet echoes the idea of finishing the conversation later, as if speaking to himself. Resolute, the Duke says that works for him, and declares that from now on they are partners. Lucius offers her tea, praising its fine aroma, but Luna refuses, explaining she must return home because her child is waiting. With that, she departs, giving the Count a final bow. Watching her leave, Huppet smiles, finding her fascinating and surprised that the young woman is not even afraid of him. Considering her marriage proposal, Lassius thinks he might as well play along to see what she does next. Back at her mansion, Luna is greeted by her maid, Jane, who reports that she has arranged a new room for Hylam and asks if she would like to see it. Luna tells her to lead the way. Reaching the room, Jane explains that she chose the sunniest chamber in the entire house, the very room where Hylam is now asleep. When asked, Jane explains that the boy has been sleeping since taking the medicine, adding that it appears to be working well. Relieved, Luna expresses her worry about his health, fearing it might be something more serious. Inwardly, Jane is confused by her mistress's sudden change in behavior toward Hylam, recalling how Luna even dismissed the maid who knew all her tastes. The whole situation makes her wonder if Luna is plotting something. The Viscountess calls her, snapping Jane out of her thoughts. Luna asks if she may look at Helm more closely. Slightly taken aback and chuckling, Jane reminds her that she is his mother. Of course she can. Sitting beside the boy's bed, the protagonist reflects on how such a gentle child could one day become a tyrant and vows to do anything to prevent that. Wetting and wringing out a cloth with water, Luna places it on his forehead. Shocked, Jane offers to take care of him herself, since that is her duty as maid. But Luna insists she wants to do it personally. Turning back, Luna thinks about what else she could do for him, then asks Jane whether there is an oven available. In the kitchen, Jane, a bit uneasy, asks if her mistress intends to cook for Hylam. Luna replies that she does. She wants to prepare something for him, but quickly reassures her that it will just be a small snack. Holding a baking tray, Jane watches in astonishment as Luna arranges a few simple treats. Just as the Viscountess is about to place them in the oven, a sudden clatter of thuds and bangs resounds in the kitchen. If this oven explodes too, that's far too much of a coincidence, Luna mutters. She asks Jane what happened, and the maid says she will go investigate. From the kitchen, Luna sees Jane speaking with an angry woman. While Jane explains that a visit must be scheduled in advance, the woman loses patience, shouting that this is her son's house and she shouldn't need to schedule anything, then orders the maid to leave her sight. Startled, Luna realizes the woman is Countess Sasha Massamel, her mother-in-law in the original romance. Sasha is a greedy woman who showed no concern at her son's death but suddenly appeared when the question of his inheritance arose. The protagonist resolves not to let Sasha claim anything that rightfully belongs to Hylam. Later, Luna and Sasha sit together in a room. Sasha criticizes her for the way she is dressed, pointing out that she isn't wearing mourning black. She goes on questioning how Luna could be so shameless, given her husband died so soon after marrying her. The protagonist ignores the insults as she sips her tea. In the book, Luna's late husband, Viscount Massamel, died from a venereal disease. Yet the girl also knows that the original Viscountess was a villainess capable of killing her own husband, so Sasha's suspicion is not groundless. The protagonist asks Sasha why she came to the mansion, certain it was not merely to hurl insults. Admitting the point, Sasha sneers that Luna is acting clever for once. Finally, Sasha confesses she is there to settle matters of her son's inheritance, insisting that Luna cannot go on living in such luxury now that her husband is dead. Calmly, the protagonist responds that she no longer intends to live there, but that regardless, the mansion belongs to her son, Helm, and herself. Enraged, Sasha screams that the mansion belongs to House Massamel, demanding how a lowly girl dares claim property of a count's family. Luna answers that the woman is coveting what belongs to her son and reveals she has Viscount Massamel's will. Shocked, Sasha insists that is impossible, confessing that she scoured the entire mansion but could not find it. Laughing, the protagonist knows full well that the woman cares more for her son's fortune than for his death. The reason Sasha failed to find the will is simple. In the original story, when Viscount Massamel lay dying, Luna had voiced her fear of being cast out by the Countess after his death, since she hated her. So, in his final moments, the Viscount wrote a will at Luna's urging, secretly hiding it from everyone. Ironically, that very will would allow the protagonist to pass the mansion to Hylam, even though she only obtained it through the villainess's prior actions. Luna explains that the will is deposited at Archibald Bank, whose records cannot be contested, making its authenticity unquestionable. Panicked, Sasha reacts at the mention of Archibald Bank, knowing that even the imperial family cannot alter its contents. Luna offers either to check in person or have the file delivered straight to Sasha's residence. Furious, the woman storms out of the mansion, slamming the door behind her. Luna reflects on how easily problems can be solved using knowledge from the novel, though she finds it tedious. Still, such peaceful solutions are far preferable to her previous life. She endured all that suffering only for Helm, the book's main character, and now she wants nothing more than to see him happy.